Welcome back, everyone. This week we're going to talk about Tidewater and more specifically about the consolidation that's occurring in the OSV, offshore supply vessel industry, and that effect on Tidewater, as well as how Tidewater is participating in being the primary consolidator and the optimistic forecast that provides us with the future. So, in recent news, the whole Ocean Gate situation, if you don't know about it, you should look it up. Interesting to say the least. And here we have an AHTS vessel in the news. So, that's worth knowing about because a lot of people think OSV, then they think oil and gas, and that's about as far as their thought goes. But it goes well beyond that. Emergency vehicle deployment, for instance. So, or firefighting. Not to say that Tidewater engages in those things, but those are other niche categories of the market. And one shouldn't be too myopic with their understanding of a market. So, to go back in time, Tidewater came out of restructuring and emerged from Chapter 11 bankruptcy in late July of 2017. Then, by July of 2018, Tidewater and Gulfmark agree to a $1.25 billion merger. Fun thing is I believe Tidewater was roughly at $30 when this happened back in 2018. Then, I believe it fell down to like $5 a share during the COVID lows, and now we're sitting around in the range of 40 some odd dollars. Then if you fast forward to 2023, they've now entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Solstad Offshore and their 37 platform supply vessels. So that's consolidation. We have Gulfmark in 2018, then years later, we have the Solstad. And this chart, which these are out of investor presentations, the links are in the description. Pro forma, that places Tidewater as the largest player in the OSV market with one of the newest fleet ages. But let's go back to 2022. They had and acquired Swire Pacific Offshore Holdings. So they bought Swire in 2022 and they bought Solstad in 2023. So this is what the 2022 chart looks like. And what you'll see is that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 participants. Now this isn't an exhaustive list of all the participants. So you have 13 participants in 2022, according to their chart that they made and selected. And here you have Solstad taken out, the 5th largest player, according to this chart. And then the 9th largest player, Swire, was taken out last year. So you go from 13 to 11. Well, interestingly enough, recent updates and news, Vroon is getting rid of their OSV fleet. Vroon completed a complex, first-of-a-kind financial restructuring this week that will see the international shipping company shed its OSV fleet to concentrate on specialized shipping and emergency response and rescue vessels. So then the question becomes, who's going to buy these? So the industry is going to consolidate even further. And I would like to think that Tidewater might pick these up too and take on even more debt and just lay it in their balance sheet, which is so pristine, with more and more debt insofar as the synergies apply. And we'll see, who knows. Depends on what the overall market's looking like and so on and so forth when it happens. But in recent news, Subsea 7 made and now has withdrawn an offer to merge with DOF, which DOF was not in the investor presentation slides that we looked at just a moment ago. Days after promoting the merits of combining the offshore operations of Subsea 7 and DOF, rebuffed by the board of directors, Subsea 7 confirmed that it would let its offer expire. But that's interesting. It expired. It didn't happen. Okay, old news. But this just shows you that movements are happening in the market, and that movement is consolidation. That's the theme of today's piece. Consolidation in the OSV market. And it's always worthwhile to remember that Tidewater doesn't operate just in the oil and gas market. And they do predominantly and primarily. Like, don't get it confused. Yes, of course, and therefore, the price of oil, it's going to trade to some extent in line with oil prices. I mean, that just is what it is. But don't forget that they could and might expand into new territory, or just territory, and that's the offshore wind market. Now, I believe this slide was from like 2018, and I believe they missed the mark, because you say the average new wind turbine capacity is set to reach 8.3 megawatts by 2022. I don't think that happened. I could be mistaken, but I don't think that actually happened. So, which is to say that everything going forward is lofty, unrealistic expectations that will lead to disappointment because of how humans operate. But what this indicates is that if indeed, even though Siemens Gamesa fell like 34% in a day because, surprise, surprise, they have issues with what they're manufacturing and things just aren't profitable, and who would have thought? But we'll see how much governments push the agenda and facilitate it with subsidies and so on and so forth. But if they do, well, they're going to need OSVs. And if the market is allegedly just going to exponentially grow so beautifully as this chart depicts, with this perfect linear growth, or it's not linear, but if they suspect the market is going to grow like this, then, well, the OSVs are going to be busy. So what that might mean is that they become less predominantly focused on oil and gas, and then they can also branch out to this, and that actually might help with their cyclicality. This is all, I don't want to say cope and fallacy, but it's not happening today, but it's something worth considering and thinking about and understanding and exploring the ideas and to see where things could go. And if it does keep developing, then that can help balance some of the cyclicality of the oil and gas. And with that, this presentation's, I'm done talking about the consolidation in the oil and gas, so I'm going to now move on to the after hours segment, let's call it, and talk about my portfolio performance over the last week. So as you see, depending on how much attention you pay to this, it seems like I have a new leader in the portfolio every week. They just recycle. Like not that long ago, well, going back, Transocean was the leader, and then it's kind of been a dog for a few months, and then Valaris has pretty much always been a dog so far, and then KRE was at the top. Well, Kinross Gold was at the top, and then KRE was at the top, and then now Louisiana Pacific is at the top. If you ask me, out of all these names, if I thought Louisiana Pacific was going to be at the top in any given week, my answer would have been no. And yet here we are, which is, how interesting. KRE's been giving back all the gains. Uranium, I was up 6% in that, 7% in that, and now it's giving back all the gains. It just fell. As I've talked about the frustrations and irritations of the market, how things start off well on Monday, and then they just bleed off and taper off and go down all week long. Uranium, that's exactly what it did. KRE, that's exactly what it did. I'm not sure about Kinross. Tidewater popped. I forgot to say last week that I added to my position of Tidewater, added a share, doubled my share. Oh, I want to say, I actually meant to start the video off with this, so I'm not going back and remaking this video or editing it to put it at the front, so I'll just say it now. I had a comment that I, for whatever reason, cannot reply to, and I don't even see the comment in the comments, in the comment section of the video, but nonetheless, the YouTube creator portal said I have a comment, and I'm not really sure where this comment is. Anyway, the comment is that they liked the video. It was from my offshore video, and I'm addressing anybody who's listening as well as this individual. So it was a video from a few weeks ago about how they liked my video, but I only have 20 shares of Transocean. It was something along those lines. And I guess my comment, since I can't write a comment, I'll just say it, which is, well, what do you mean by only? Because to say only, right now so let's start this. Maybe you don't understand what's happening here with this channel and this portfolio. So every week on Monday, I deposit $42 into the portfolio, and then I invest it or leave it in cash to invest it one day. And that's what this portfolio is. Every week it adds $42. At first, it's a lot because, week 1, January 1st, I got $42. Week 2, I got $42, which is to say I doubled my portfolio. Then week 3, I got $42, which is to say I added 50% to the portfolio. But over time, $42 means less and less. Right now, my portfolio stands a little over $1,000. I'm sitting currently in 30% cash, roughly. And so over time, $42 means less than yes. By the end of the year, I'll be at $2,000. So a $42 deposit will amount to 2% of the overall portfolio, let's say. And to say I only have 20 shares, I have 27, but maybe they said 27. I think it doesn't matter. I don't want to get pedantic. But to say I only have this many shares, it's 17% of my portfolio. And this, it's that kind of framing effect is exactly why so many YouTube channels do stupid things, and why so many people in the media do stupid things. And what do I mean by stupid things? They say, I put $10,000 in my account today. I put $5,000 in this one stock. I invested $100,000 in these 10 stocks. And then everybody's like, click, 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 click. Oh, watch, watch, watch. They never say, I invested 1% of my portfolio. If it's $1 million account, which some of these YouTube channels are beyond that, if they have $1 million account and they invest $10,000 into a stock, they invest 1% of their portfolio. But you see $10,000 and you're like, wow. But relatively speaking, it's a trivial, insignificant rounding error. But then you get all excited and then you say, well, if he believes in it, I should buy it too. But it's like, well, what do you mean he believes? Well, he put $10,000. It's like, well, $10,000 relative to you, the viewer, is not the same at all as $10,000 to the investor, i.e. the YouTube creator. And it's irritating. The Dow falls 500%. Melodramatic. It's like, well, maybe at one point in time that meant something, but as the indices grow larger, any point decline becomes a less and less significant proportion of the overall index. But people love to dramatize things and misrepresent things and not think about things correctly. I think I've talked about this before, but years ago I read in the newspaper, on the front page of the whole newspaper, it said, over 1 million people, over 1 million Americans are allergic to peanuts. And the reason that was the headline in big bold letters on the front page was because the baseball stadium was considering either banning peanuts altogether and or making a peanut-free section. And I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. 1 million people. Okay. So there's, at the time, roughly 350 million Americans. Which is to say that they could have said 1/3 of 1% of Americans are allergic to peanuts. But that just doesn't hit the same, does it? You don't hear it the same, do you? No. 1 million, that's a big number. We got to do something about that. But 1/3 of 1%? If they said 0.33% of Americans. See, that's the funny thing about facts. What's the quote about statistics? Statistics are like bikinis. What they reveal is suggestive, but what they conceal is crucial. So to say I only have 27%, and by the way, this also prompts, as I belabored the point I believe in one of my very first videos, is a lot of these $100,000 stock portfolio challenges that you see on YouTube, what happens is they start off, say, with $1,000, fair enough, $10,000, whatever, and then they're supposed to grow it. But if you actually look and track it, and that's in part kind of what sparked this whole channel creation, along with some other things we're not going to get into, they're beside the point, is they would predominantly just funnel money into their account from outside accounts. The way they were able to grow their account was not through compounding their investments. It was through just dumping more money into the account. Because humans are, I don't know, fickle, feeble, I'm not really sure. I'm not trying to insult the person, even though that seemingly is a byproduct of what I'm saying. You need to think about it different, because a point of this channel as well was to show people that you can pretty much, that's why it's called cup of coffee capital. It could be a pack a day capital, a pack of cigarettes a day capital. It could be a 6-pack of beer capital. It could be a cup of coffee capital. It could be a lot of things that people, I don't want to say squander, but lack of a better word, spend money on. Amortized monthly subscription to cable channel capital. About how you can start off small and slowly grow. Here I was the first week of January with $42. And now I'm past $1,000. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like just $42, just chipping away. $42, $42. And then over time, incremental progressions, like most things in life, start adding up and culminating to more serious, significant things. And to say only 20 shares or 27 shares, whatever the person said, it misses the pictures. Like, you should look at it as a percentage of my portfolio. Not as, just imagine this, just imagine if I had a $50 portfolio, but I invested all of my $50. I was just a poor brokey with no future or promise, but I couldn't just idly sit around and do nothing, so I took all my whole life savings of $50 and I put it in the stock market, and I bought Transocean. Is that only $50? Let's call it $6 a share. Is that only only 8 shares? And I guess maybe these $100 million hedge funds who put 10% of their portfolio, it's only $10 million. I mean, Ray Dalio's over here running billion-dollar funds. So now it's a scalability issue. But the funny thing is that you, the viewer, are the common denominator, and you, the viewer, for the most part, are broke. So what really isn't a large amount of money seems like a large amount. $10,000. Oh my God. Wow. They're serious. It's like, it means nothing. They could lose $10,000 and they wouldn't know, the YouTube creator. But the audience member is like, wow, 10,000, they really, and then what do? They don't recognize, oh, this YouTube creator isn't serious about this position. It's a 1% position. But how many people go out and buy some stock because someone invested $10,000 in it, not realizing it's 1% of the portfolio, and then they go out, they buy the stock. Of course, some market order come Monday morning, and everybody goes in and dumps and chases it and pumps it higher. And I'm not even accusing anyone of a market manipulation. I'm just saying this is what happens. I've seen it happen enough times. I remember when Tattoo Chef became a big thing a few years ago, and there were, on one weekend, because I actually bought it, on one weekend, channel after channel after channel. I don't know who started it. I can't remember if some headline catalyst, but multiple channels came out about Tattooed Chef, about how they were putting in $10,000 or $20,000 or $5,000. And I was like, and I understood this dynamic. I understood that they were putting in tiny amounts of their net worth into something. But it was a big dollar amount that was going to get a lot of people excited. And a lot of these channels had hundreds of thousands of subscribers or tens of thousands of subscribers. And I knew this thing was going to get pumped hard come Monday. And sure enough, it did. It was, I can't remember, like 7-10%, something like that, which is a nice return for a day. Yeah, I think it went on to go higher before it went lower, and now it's in a horrible condition. But multiple channels. At first, I saw the one guy come out with it, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not really interested. And then I saw another guy come out with it. I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting. And then I saw a third channel come out with it. And I suspect that third channel was playing off the other two channels. Fair enough, I'm not going to knock your hustle. And then I was like, oh, this thing is going to get chased hard come Monday morning. And it did. Why? Because a bunch of people who invested a minute fraction of their net worth into something excited a bunch of people who relativistically, if that's a real word, got all excited and got the tingles and emotion and then chased it. So it's that kind of corruption and pathology of thought of saying only 20 or only 27 shares is it's the same underlying phenomenon that then causes people, maybe not the same person who made that comment, but it's that same kind of thinking that then causes people to go and make dumb decisions. And I'm not a fan of that. And I kind of feel, I don't feel insulted. I feel almost an empathetic sense of shared discouragement by other small YouTube channels who are starting off small. I knew, by the way, I absolutely knew that $42, cup of coffee, I wanted it to be true. I could have put more in a week, $100 a week. That's a psychologically satisfying number, and it gets people excited. $100 means you're serious. $42, it's like, what? What a weird number. And which is, by the way, is $7 a day. That's where I got it. No, I'm $6 a day. I'm sorry. $6 a day, 7 days a week, $42. That's where I got it. But 40, what a weird number and what a trivial, insignificant amount. Which was the whole point. Like, look what you can do with a trivial, insignificant amount. I've stashed away $1,000 in savings. I could close this channel down, sell my account, and have an extra $1,000 I probably would have alternatively blown. Let's not forget that. And I knew it was going to bite me in the ass because I knew people were going to criticize me. I knew people were going to judge things. I knew, I'm surprised it actually took this long, but of course it's not like I put videos out every week, which therefore means the YouTube algorithm's not going to pump my stuff and so on and so forth. And I'm in more esoteric markets with a cult following like uranium and things like that. So I know I'm not going to get tons of exposure, which is why it's probably taken this long for me to get a comment like that. But I knew that was the consequence. Because interestingly enough, I found out a few weeks, I don't think I've talked about this, a few weeks after I started this channel, a certain YouTuber on starting January 1st, essentially, of 2023, started their own private, you could follow them. They have a public account, kind of like what I'm showing, let's call it. And then they have this private account. And if you join their, I don't know, Discord, Patreon, I don't know, something, for $5 a month, $10 a month, something like that, that you can follow along and watch what they're doing, real-time trades, or I don't know what all the perks are. And that individual is investing $150 a week. And I guess he said that his mandate was he was going to invest $150. The way he made it sound, I can't quote him verbatim, was he was going to buy $150 a week worth of stuff, which is his own forced constraint. Like, you don't have to. Like I said, I'm in 30% cash. So you don't have to. So he's, because that's excitement. People want to see you buying. They don't want to see you sit around in cash waiting for something. It's not, it doesn't touch people's feelings and emotions. And he's doing $150 a week. And he even said, which I think is hilarious. He said that's a reasonable amount for something along the lines of, that's a reasonable amount that the average person could achieve investing. And that's absurd. That's to say that the average person has an extra $600 a month. And I just don't believe that to be true. And I'm trying to lift people up. I mean, if you're a hedge fund, chief financial officer, something like that, if you watch my channel, awesome, thanks for watching. But that's not really who this is targeted to. This is targeted towards the average person with a hope and a dream and feeling discouraged because they don't really have any money. That's where I got Cup of Coffee from. That's where I got the $6 a day from. That's $6 a day, making minimum wage at 7 something an hour. Like, okay, you're setting aside 12.5% of your paycheck, an eighth of your paycheck. Like, maybe that's manageable. Like, maybe you can do that. But 150 is like, wow, you just decapitated an entire swath of tens of millions of people from being able to, like, so then the question is are they in it for the entertainment value, or are they in it just to shadow track whatever his insider trade, not inside, I don't want to use insider that way, you gotta be careful with the words you use, I'll take that back, but the insider in the sense of private account is what I meant, because whoever logs in or subscribes to that service is the insider. The YouTube person isn't the insider. You could say, I want to be inside of that private thing and follow your trades and just execute you. I'm going to be a synthetic proxy of you because I think you're a good enough trader, so I'm just going to copy your style and try to make money. That's what I meant by insider. So just want to clarify that. That's a very sensitive word. You can't be throwing insider terms like insider trading around. That's just irresponsible and reckless. So that's that. I think I've gone off on that long enough, and I'll end it there. Thank you for watching, and until next time.